And to begin, a self-taught artist, conservationist, and his partner introduce us to Africa's cross-river gorillas, who are classified as critically endangered. Stay with us. Danielle and Ginette Taylor realized one of their dreams in Africa when they found an endangered primate known as the cross-river gorilla, a subspecies of the western gorilla. The Taylors are currently working through their travels and through Daniel's art to try to help save this endangered animal. It is my pleasure to welcome Danielle and Ginette Taylor to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Hi, Fanny.
Hi there.
Hi there. Well, what a journey this has been. How did you two meet?
Whoa, that's quite a question.
Well, before we get into the gorillas, I have to put you together.
Basically right around the corner.
I worked on movie sets for a number of years, and then I was doing a stint downtown Vancouver. And so living downtown, I had my dog, take my dog for a walk, and who comes around the corner but my beautiful lady-to-be, Ginette.
So Ginette and Daniel get together, and when did you know that you were both into conservation?
Oh, that came probably about 4 years ago. I've been painting for a long, long time, and I wanted to paint a picture of a gorilla. And through the African Conservation Foundation, and they said, well, how would you like to jump on board and help us with the issues that we have? We have several projects, both for the carnivores and for the kids and that sort of thing. And I said, sure, let's go for that. And painting pictures, and then I talked to Ginette, and she says, well, what a wonderful idea. Let's do something like this. And we took it from there.
And you're a self-taught artist?
I'm self-taught, and I've been doing that for about 40 years now, a long, long time.
Mostly wildlife?
Mainly
realism.
Wildlife. Started out with people, portraits, and that sort of thing, landscapes, and then got into realism. Realism, I've always compared that to like climbing a mountain and doing it the hard way with fingers rather than the ropes. Right. I don't know if that's true, but and here I am.
Well, gorillas are sort of people-like.
They are sort of people-like. They're very powerful, comical, and very, very timid but very kind. Yeah.
You're not a painter.
No.
You're a partner.
Yes.
And when you decided to go to Africa, how did you plan the trip? How did you connect all the dots? I'm assuming you had to do some of that.
Yes.
Not that he isn't helpful, but.
I try.
Well, you know, the thing is having children. Like we have 7 amongst the both of us. So having children, you sit and you think, okay, what if this situation was about right from the food, how many days are we going to be there, what are we going to need, and you take all the situations in hand, you try to visualize, because you've never been on this before. So you just figure it all out by the day. What would you need? What if it rained? What if we ran out? We only have so many packs or whatever. So it's basically using your mother instinct to be able to figure that out, and advice from other people around.
What did you know about the cross-river gorilla before you went? How to be around a gorilla, how to chat with a gorilla, how to get away from a gorilla? What did you know? How informed were you? Basically,
of course, obviously we knew this one was very highly endangered above all the other gorillas that we knew about. The understanding of the gorillas itself, we didn't have too much understanding as far as whether they're aggressive or not. We just assume from what we've learned over the years and what we've heard on programs and that sort of thing. But we weren't afraid of coming close to a gorilla per se. As BC, I'd be very much afraid of it was a bear or a grizzly or something of that sort. But no.
As you should be.
As I should be, yeah. But no, the gorilla was no problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Went
Cameroon.
To Cameroon, the Lebelian Highlands, the Fossey-Monde area. And in the Fossey-Monde area, at least the area where we're at.
This is Diane Fossey.
No, not around her part, actually.
No. Did you say it was called Fossey?
Fossey-Monde.
Oh,
Fossey-Monde area, yeah.
Okay.
And because of being around that area, we were able to have a chance of seeing the gorillas, the cross-river gorillas. We were on a grid, and there's other groups that were out searching the same sort of area. And they're very, very, very difficult to find. They're highly endangered. very elusive.
By that you mean most endangered primate
Most endangered in the
country
world.
or in
and
Africa?
In the world. In the world. You can see the nests way up in the trees. You can sense that they were there last time. Of course, the markings and that sort of thing. Apparently, after we left the area, they found that the gorillas were near us. They were looking at us, but again, they could sense danger, I guess, from humans and that. So yeah.
Right. And when you say they, obviously you had a guide or two, or someone else with you. It wasn't just the two of you, not the tailors, the urban tailors tromping into Africa.
No.
No, we had this fellow that took us out there, we called him Playboy. There's a story behind that.
Okay, tell me.
No, Ginette will tell you.
Okay.
But he took us on down there, and he was a former poacher, and he trekked us on down into the valley and where he used to hunt for these animals. And the little hut that we stayed by in our tent, you could see down in the valley below, and that's where all the gorillas used to come onto his farmland, and he would shoot these animals because of being a pest. Or for food, he would shoot the animals to feed his great families. And
right,
anyway,
bushmeat.
Bushmeat and that sort of thing, yeah. And so...
The spiritual side are behind it. Like, in their belief, if a hunter hunts the gorilla, they will become Nakum, which gives them the power to marry as many wives as they're allowed, like a fawn or a king. And there's a lot of spiritual aspects behind what they believe the gorilla does, nutrition or medicine-wise,
right.
and just the power behind them.
All gorillas or just the Cross River gorilla?
The Cross River, they believe that 70% of these gorillas are totems. They believe that they come to life in the evening and help get the animals into their traps. And they say that you can tell the totems because they have a white spot on their neck. And so even like herbally, they will use the part of the gorilla, say you have a sore arm, they will take that part of that gorilla and rub it on the area for pain. And they actually bathe their children in water with the gorilla part, believing that they will be strong like gorilla. There's a lot of spiritual...
A lot of spiritual meaning.
Yes.
But I would think if it was a totem, you wouldn't kill the totem.
No.
That's not so. What do I know about tradition in Cameroon?
Yes, well, it's not necessarily, like for Playboy, who hunted the gorilla, you're like, way back when, you're considered a powerful person. And even nowadays, if they use the skull of the gorilla in the ceremonial dance, then they're considered a little bit higher in that. But no, they don't, the people that living in that area don't kill them directly.
Okay,
this was the past issue.
This is the past.
Yes.
So you nicknamed your guide Playboy because he had a few wives, women, girlfriends.
Many.
Many
like
wives,
we went into his compound and there was a whole bunch of children, a whole bunch of wives, and I thought it was various ones, but it was his. He had the center portion of and then they had 2 compounds down, and that's all his kids and all his. So because I guess in the past, him hunting, he was able to have as many wives because of his.
And he was a poacher. Did he see the light and decide it wasn't the way? Did he just need another job? What happened?
Exactly. He did see the light. He knew that these animals were just about gone as well. Understanding that they are the inheritance of the people there and his children in that. He was asked if he could be a guide, maybe possibly a tour guide in the future, but again, to help us down into the area.
And what did they think of you? You, the artist, you, the partner, tromping around in the dense jungle with Playboy, the guide. How were you received?
At first, we had to go before a council of a great many chiefs and a king. We wanted to go down of course, in the area that we wanted to go down. We couldn't get in there because eventually they weren't quite agreeable, didn't quite understand why we wanted to be there. After a long heated debate with these people, we had to go in through a different area. Again, this is the area where we went 7 kilometers straight down. Yeah, and heavy pack sacks and heavy rain, the whole thing.
Ew.
And slippery. But eventually we did go down through the area. But yeah, they were unsure because of people from out of the country, as what we were, why were we actually there? Why did we want to help them with their situation? Which Ginette can explain to you.
The director who lives there, the key component to this is that he's raised in the area, he knows the tradition, he knows the field work, he knows the government issues, and he's been there for 6 years putting all these programs into place.
And this is the director of the African Conservation Foundation?
One of them.
One of
and
them.
He's one of the fellows that took us down along with Playboy, who they're employed to, because they know these jungles, they know where the animals are. He knows it from the back of his hand, and so he's helping them to get the statistics needed to bring awareness to this and all the information, so they know the jungle. So you pay them to feed their family so they, you know, they can change their outlook on it.
How close did you get to a gorilla?
In the wild?
Proximity in the wild.
In fact, we couldn't even see one in the wild. They probably saw us. But getting close to one in captivity, we were pretty close to Niango. But again, that's not in the wild. They're not fear-inspiring animals.
Right.
They're very, again, they're timid and curious as we are of them. And seeing Niango was quite awe-inspiring still.
You see, I have an image of my mind with you in the jungle with your easel, a gorilla in nest, painting away.
Well,
that is not exactly what happened.
No, I wish it was. But I was there, I was sketching the area, the habitat and that, and we were looking for, again, the gorilla within the area and that. To actually find the gorilla, we'd probably have to live there for months on end in order to actually see one, just one. These gorillas have been pushed back into the mountainous area, into areas where they shouldn't be because of the encroaching farmlands, the deforestation. And
how large are they?
they're about a common man's height, but in width they're quite wide. And they sort of have this red top, a smaller head, and their fingers are somewhat smaller, their thumbs are. And yeah, they're...
Niango, actually, the one that's in the captive, was actually a hunter approached a missionary at the age of 3, Niango was, and he bought her because he knew that she would be gone. He bought her for a substantial amount of money, and Niango is mother, that's in their language.
Right.
And so he had her for 2 months, and he said that it was hard for him to tell the difference between his children when they were playing. They had her for 2 months. Like, she had the same characteristics and the emotions and how she portrayed herself in the family unit, and then she got a little bit too big, and he actually took her to the Limbe Wildlife Center for protection, right, so that she could be mother of the other ones that would come in. So he said it was hard to tell the difference. She never ate with the fork and the, but
Right.
she did sit. She was just the same as his children.
Wow.
Like,
well, nor would a child unless we told them.
Yeah, that's right.
I wouldn't think. I mean, if a kid can eat with his hands or her hands, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. So he
It was our mothers who made us use forks.
That's right. Yeah, but she was just played. She responded like children. Like sometimes he said in his write-up, that he couldn't tell difference.
How was it changing for you in your work, in your conservation work, in your frustration and
frustration
wanting to...
for sure. To actually go in those places and to have the scent of the area, and it is a silent jungle now, unlike like 20 years ago. To actually sense the feelings of the people around there that live in the jungle, the emotions that you feel when you go out down into the valley areas and searching for the animals, and that is just, I don't know how to explain it. It is very life-altering. It does change your perception of how you see life as it is, both back home here in Canada, and as well as living there amongst the people, amongst the animals, and in the jungle. And
I'm sure. Now, what about jungle disease, jungle issues, as we call them?
Well,
I mean, you're in a strange land, you're eating strange food, you're staying in a compound, I assume.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, we brought our own food, and we were told not to eat. You had to watch the water. It was a little bit more difficult. As far as going down into the, you're pretty much on your own. We didn't really have a compound per se. We were traveling from one area to the other and staying in tents inside of buildings and experienced all sorts of different things. And there was no water and you couldn't take a bath for weeks. You had the wipes and it wasn't easy. And yeah, if we were, the thing is when you're in there, like we trekked down that mountain, then we were told all of a sudden, you know what, we have to feed all the people that were with us. We were told that on that time, and we only brought enough food for a certain amount. So you were told things unexpectedly, and you didn't know what was going to happen. Your truck breaks down, you're in the middle of the road, you were stopped. There's no washroom facilities for women. I was holding my bladder for 8-9 hours of the day. It was something, that was the worst for me. And also, feeling like you were in, like being confronted by these chiefs and they're shaking their fists at you, and you're white people and they couldn't understand why you wanted to go down into the forest. Like there was different issues, and then the poachers on the side of the road with their machetes. And so it was like I tell people, ignorance is bliss, because what you do is you just go in, you deal with it, and you just keep going on until you come back. But it is life-altering. It's seeing women just screaming for joy because they were able to get a plastic bottle with a lid on it to carry their water. It was seeing just so many different things that you come back and you just value life more when you come back, and you realize that, you know, we have a lot to be thankful for.
I'm sure.
Here it was.
And when you painted these gorillas and the forest and the wilderness, did that linger in your mind? Obviously.
Yeah, it did.
Fall onto the canvas.
Very much so. I can remember too sitting on the jet there and looking over a lot of the pictures that I took, a lot of the sketches, a lot of the photographs and that, and trying to conceive in my mind how I would present a painting such as the one that I recently finished in that. And yeah, the emotions pour out. That's very important as an artist anyways, to have your heartfelt feelings come out onto the canvas, and to get that feeling drawn out there so that people can see it too or feel it. And in the case of the Cross River Gorilla, it takes about 3 to 5 months to create a painting. That one took 3 months. And that was more like a quicker sort of a rendition, although it's very real, because of the dire need to raise proceeds toward these animals.
Right, and the dire need is dire because they're almost extinct.
Yeah.
Which means how many left on Earth, or do they have a count?
There's approximately 250 to 300 alive, and of course it's dwindling every day.
Really? And poachers still poaching?
Yes, yeah.
Who's policing it, or did you get a sense of that?
What we went in there is to find out the programs. It's like the circle of life is what I call it, because you can't just go in there and change everybody's life. You have to consider the kings and the government. You have to consider the livelihood of the villagers. You have to do the education programs with the kids. You have to have the social economics, like microbanking systems, so they can have other. You have to bring in medicinal plants, nutritional plants, petroplants, and also the breeding of their like for protein, so cane rats, porcupines, breeding. So it was, everything is put into play. And Lewis, like I said, he lives there. He's able to communicate with all these different people in his own language and understands like all the issues surrounding it. So everything is already put into place. You have the gorilla, you have the companies, and all they need is a start to get all these things going. But we can't wait until the land has been over-farmed, the gorillas are gone, there's no more food. We can't wait to that.
So basically that's what we're doing now. We're promoting the idea and the need to save these gorillas. Again, they are the inheritance of the world, and they'll be gone very soon. So more people involved that are willing to contribute, that would be wonderful.
So if somebody buys a print, the money goes directly to the African Foundation or the Conservation Foundation?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it goes directly toward the projects and that. The money isn't filtered to any of the hands. It's directly to the ones that are in need of help, the projects that are in need of help. So there's no concern that it's going places where it shouldn't go.
Okay.
There's no administrative.
Will you go back?
Yes, we want to see
Really?
the success. I would love to go into those villages and see it
Maybe
happening.
maybe a lighter backpack.
Yeah, a lighter back.
And
Well, we'll bring
bathroom.
Fanny along too.
Yes.
Well,
Oh.
I don't think so. Well, I could stay in the compound. You can hike into the dense jungle and hold your bladder for 9 hours.
That's right.
I'll be in the compound schmoozing with the women or something. Okay?
Thank you
Okay.
Thank
very
you.
much.
However, I would love to see a magnificent gorilla. That said,
Thank you.
thank you. Nice to see
Thank
you.
you so much.
Danielle and Ginette Taylor.